Good evening, my Rosalinds and Rosikins. Mother is back. And in this video, I want to talk about how I am healing my own mother wounds. Okay? So, as you all know, me personally, I have more of an estranged, distant relationship with my own mother, who is an unambiguous black woman, and I love her very much. But as of recent, I think I'm finally coming to the terms with the fact that I will never have the mother daughter relationship that I've always wanted with my mother. Most of my biggest accomplishments, she was not involved in, as in being present to celebrate with me. And the reason that I feel the need to focus more on my relationship with my mother is because I am a woman. Your mother is supposed to teach you certain things about womanhood because she has lived it herself. And a lot of the things that I felt my mother couldn't teach me or was teaching me a toxic way of that thing, I had to reprogram myself and or just learn it from other women. Um, and so I appreciate the fact that I'm in a place now where I can realize that I love my mother, and me being distant from her isn't because I'm ungrateful for her adopting me or for her being in my life. It doesn't mean I love her less. It means that I love me enough as well to create those boundaries. I also have realized that I'm in a place in my life where I don't care about my mother's opinion. I don't care how she views me. I don't care how she views what I believe in. I don't care how she views the way I live my life. Because I've been living my life since like what, 21? Yeah, on my own terms. And I haven't needed anything from any of my parents. I have just been thugging it and rucking it and and stunting it, and sashaying it. Okay, fabulously so, I must add. And I also realized that my mother is human. She's a woman, She's my mother, but she's also her own woman. And us as women, we all have flaws, whether you're a mother or child free like mother herself. You know what I'm saying? And so I give her grace, and I understand that a lot of the toxicity she has comes from resentment and trauma, and also at times envy and jealousy for other beautiful women, and that she looks at her daughters as more as a competition than her daughters. I believe. Although I also realize that she still sees me as her baby and I will always be her baby, but I am mother. I need to be able to express myself. I need to be able to be respected. And I need to be able to be at peace when I'm around certain people, especially my parents. I can't be, around my mother and the whole time I'm stressed out. I'm feeling low about myself because of things that she has said or done or the energy shifts. I realize that I am someone who is meant to walk and live on her own terms, and that no matter if you're my mother, my brother, my father, my sister, my friend, my best friend, I don't really give a damn. You're not going to bully me. You're not going to harass me. You're not going to put me down. You're not going to disrespect me because I don't do that to you. If you can't tell by now, I'm very uplifting. I'm very encouraging. I'm very nurturing. That's just how I am by nature. That's just how I've always been. But one thing that I've learned and had to embody is the phrase by Catherine Pierce, "Better You Than I." Catherine Pierce is from Vampire Diaries, where basically that phrase, "Better You Than I," means I'm going to look out for myself above everybody else. And I'm not going to apologize about it. I've come to a place where I was able to grieve the death of my relationship with my estranged mother and to realize that it's not my fault. It's not my fault. You know how they say you only get one mother? Well, you only get one insert your name child, I get one mother and you get one me. So that being said, you're not going to just play in my face. I mean, that's not how this goes. And one can also add that it's probably also due to the culture of the 19 like 50s civil rights babies, because that's like the era she comes from. And so, it was like with children, you're seen and not heard. You obey, you don't ask questions, or you get smacked for talking back. But all you're doing is asking for clarity as a child, but they deem that as disrespect. I'm not about to go through all that. Okay. I'm a grown ass woman. We're not doing that over here. Now, what I will say was with me healing my mother wounds, I realized that a lot of sacrifices are made, even by her, for me to become the woman I am, as toxic as some of those sacrifices were, or as toxic as some of my upbringing was. I understand that she does love me and I love her very much and I do miss her. But I realize for my mental health, I have to create those boundaries. And so the way that I honor my mother, because the Bible says, honor your mother and your father, your days belong, is that I live my best life. I bring honor to my family name and the ones that have raised me. I am becoming everything that I can be because I don't want all the sacrifices that my mother endured to raise us, adopt us, to go to vain. Basically, what I'm saying, my Roslins, is if you also deal with mother wounds, the best way to honor your mother is to be that bitch. Okay? That's the main way. Excel, be something in life, do something in life, help other women to also heal. Cultivate an environment in which you can nurture and mother others as well as nurture and mother yourself. That type of thing is how you heal a mother wound. I am starting to realize the more that I flow and give back to the divine feminine, the more that I excel and elevate myself and my mentality and like the little girl inside of me. Because I was telling you all how another way that I'm healing my mother wound is realizing that I don't even want to be a biological mother. I'm gonna be a spiritual mother, a cunty mother, okay, serving life, giving names, okay. But I'm not going to be a biological mother where I push a child out of my hoo-ha and now I have to raise a child and this is, me taking back and healing myself. No, no, no. I'm the type that realizes that me being child free is a way that I'm healing my mother wound because I'm not forcing myself to give birth to a little girl in order to, give her the lifestyle or the love and relationship that I didn't have with my own mother. I'm just going to parent and mother my own internal little girl inside of me through my life decisions and my lifestyle and the choices I make and the way that I view myself. You know what I'm saying? I can't get back my childhood. I can't take back the trauma, but I can work on myself. I can love myself. I can love the little girl inside of me enough to say, we are here now in this part of our lives. We are grown and we are going to have a lavish, ravishing life of everything you've ever wanted. And I'm going to be the one to give that to myself, to that little girl inside of me as a grown woman, right? As a grown woman, I'm going to give that to my little girl version of me. Now, doesn't mean I have to give birth, doesn't mean I have to be a mother to a little girl, doesn't mean that I have to have this big old family like I thought I wanted at one point until I realized, oh, it's just me grieving the little girl inside of me. So let me mother her now, not another child that I'm bringing into the world for the sake of my own traumas. You get what I'm saying? So that's another way you can be child free. If you realize that all you wanted a child for was to try to make amends with the part of you feel was done wrong as a child, right? And a lot of people do that. They don't understand it's just them needing to reparent themselves, but they end up, having children instead, which continues the cycle because they haven't healed themselves. So they're going to start mimicking some of the toxic parenthood, examples they had growing up. So that's what I'm just saying. Like, you really have to be self-aware. That's another thing. You have to be self-aware if you're going to heal your mother wound. You have to be self-aware. You have to be honest, and you have to face the shadow version of you. Okay? Okay. You have to. I realized too that a lot of the mother wound that I struggle with was bleeding into my relationship with other women as friends. I realized I don't trust women. And you know what? I have a good reason not to trust a lot of these women out here. I really do. However, I realized that I need to stop like labeling every single woman that comes into my life that wants to be a part of it as bad, and realizing that some are actually meant for my elevation, some are more like sisters, some I mother, some mother me. It just depends on what they're there for and how we connect. But every woman is not an op. They're not always out to get you. They're not always jealous. They're not always envious. They're just themselves, and they have things they deal with too. So I had to realize that, like, hey, just because my mother was acting like an op a lot of times doesn't mean every woman around me is an op. You know what I'm saying? And you also just have to have discernment. I'm not saying to trust everybody that has of a JJ that comes into your life because you're a woman, but I'm saying every woman is not out to get you. And when you heal your mother wound and work on healing your mother wound, you start to realize, hey, they're just women, just like me, just like my mother was. Some of them I could trust, some of them I can't. But I'm going to, be authentic to who I was and who I am becoming, and I'm not going to let them cross boundaries that disrespect me or harm me. So, just keeping that in your head. Another way I'm able to heal my mother wound is through the divine feminine, my spiritual connection with Mother Oshun. Okay? So I mentioned that with my voodoo video because for me, I have Yah, my divine masculine, my father figure. But what about my divine feminine? A lot of times we're focused so much on one energy that we don't understand that we need both in our lives as women, right? I need my mother. And since my biological mother was not there for me in the way that I needed, I say, okay, well, I'm not motherless. There you go. I'm not motherless. So Oshun, Mother Oshun, is the one that connected with me. And realizing that I am her daughter is just a great thing to know and to feel, because Mother Oshun is about elevating her children. She's about wealth. She's about beauty. She's about sweetness. She's all these things that I wish my mother had embodied and taught me more than anything. But she didn't, not to the best of her ability and not with what she had knowledge of. I've felt a lot of fear and rejection come from her own, past traumas, is what she like projected onto me. So it was never like, okay, go live in abundance, go to this. I will say the one thing my mother did tell me was that don't have kids, enjoy your life, don't worry about a husband, enjoy your life. Because I was really, stuck on wanting to have kids, wanting to have a husband, basically wanting to fill that void of that rejection, of that isolation, of that low self-esteem, of that heaviness, that I felt where I didn't really feel like I had a home. I knew I had a home. I knew my adoptive parents loved me so much, but I felt there was something missing. And this was even before I even realized that I was adopted or knew I was. So it was just a lot of things that I struggled with my identity, with who I am, with who I was as a little girl. And so I always had these dreams about, well, my kids will not do this, that my kids are going to deal with all this. I used to always say that in a very much so, not vengeance, but kind of like a vengeance, like a get back. Like, when I'm grown and I have kids and I have a daughter, she ain't going to be dealing with this, not knowing that, it was right there. Why I wanted a child was literally being said in the moment. Why? Because I wanted to rebel in that sense. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like always a nurturing for the sake of nurturing. It was so I can fill a void. You get what I'm saying? And so for me, I had to realize, that that's not really what I want. I'm saying this, but what I really had to realize and be honest with myself about is that I want this. I'm saying that when I have my little Rosalind, my little baby girl, and one day when I get married and all that stuff, that, I'm going to give her the best life possible. And what I really meant was, once I am at a place as a grown woman where I can sit down, cry, let it out, be honest with the fact that I am motherless as fuck, and realize that I have so much trauma from my own mother that's affecting my womanhood and my girlhood, that now I can actually, at this point in my life, mother myself the way that I need. Show up for the little girl inside of me the way that she was not shown up for. You get what I'm saying? So I had to come to terms with that. And ever since I was honest, it hurt a lot because you can't get back time. You know what I'm saying? You can't get back time. Your parents can't be what you need them to be because they're stuck in their ways and they have their own trauma to deal with because they're human just like us. You know what I'm saying? Realizing all that stuff, it hurts. But after you get through the reality, you understand the possibility and the destiny of you becoming the woman that y'all always made you to be, right? That you are blessed to become, that you're a beauty destined to become. And then you realize, hey, I had to go through these things in order to wear my crown the way I wear it. Because if I didn't go through these things, I wouldn't be the woman I am today. And so I realized that there was a lesson in that, and it was the fact to illuminate the fact that I am here to break generational curses. No, that is not my biological mother. That is my adopted mom, but that is still my mom nonetheless. And that's what I stand on till the day I die, right? And I can also acknowledge that my birth mother is still my mother, but she did not mother me, because she was in no position to mother me. And so I can be honest and authentic to that story of my womanhood and where I hail from. And I also realized that the things that the women throughout my bloodline and the women throughout my adoptive mother's bloodline dealt with, I'm here to break those curses. And that means that I'm not birthing a child out of pain. I'm going to remother, reparent myself so that I am healed, right? I'm going to be living in wealth and luxury. I'm going to be skinny and pretty as fuck and not giving a fuck about what a man can or cannot do for me to the extent that I am trapped by a man with my womb or at the mercy of a man, that has more power than me, you know? And the man that I choose to love one day and that will love me one day, my future husband, whomever he may be, is going to be a man that is worth the salt, right? His name is going to mean something. I am going to be a woman that has true love, that embodies that, and that is provided for, protected, no questions asked. I realized that I had to go through certain things with healing my mother wound in order to heal the woman I am and to become the woman I was meant to be. And so, my Rosalind, as you continue on your journey of dealing with toxic mothers, know this. The reason that you're the black sheep of your family is because you were made to rise above it. Okay, you are made to rise above it. You are made to break those generational curses, those chains. You are made to uplift and empower your matriarchal bloodline on both sides, if it must be so. You are made for that because I cannot take away from the matriarchal bloodline on my biological dad's side either, and how that can play a role into my destiny as well. Like a lot of things, because I was named after a matriarch on my biological dad's side. So that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of things that empower me to be the woman I am today are the women whose blood runs through my veins and the curses that I'm breaking and the destiny that I've always been given to be a trailblazer in my matriarchal bloodline on both sides. And so that being said, this is why I believe that, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that when you are choosing a life and a path that most women didn't really get the opportunity to have within your bloodline, it's because you're destined. Okay. It's because you're destined. And, you're going to have people that hate. You're going to have your own mother will be your biggest hater too, because you're living the life she never could live. Right. And you're going to have women, throughout your family as well that can, sometimes judge you or not understand you, but by and by the fruits and the calling of your life will be illuminated where you can't hide it anymore, and they'll see that you're blessed and you're favored. And some will understand and come around and some won't, but you have to make peace with yourself, that the only mother you really need is yourself. If all else fails, baby, mother yourself. And I hope this video was giving you some great tips on how to do that, because it's a long time coming, but I am thankful to be at this place in my life now where I can make peace with the fact that as a daughter, I have done and tried everything that I can, and I'm not going to take abuse or any more trauma from my mother. I'm going to love her and thrive in life in order to honor her. But I won't continue on with the same generational curses or traumas. And with that, mother is going to say, ciao.